Hi. This is Novel Admire. Welcome to my channel. Have fun. The Eminence in Shadow. Chapter 1. Remaining within the limits of being human means you would be vaporized by it Badong. I don't remember what was the trigger. All I know is that ever since I can remember, I've always yearned after powers in the shadows. Was it because of anime? Manga? Or movies? Actually, it doesn't really matter. As long as it was a power in the shadows, it didn't matter what it was, I loved it. Not the hero. Nor the last boss. I'm talking about those existences that work their interference and flex their true strength only from the shadows. I adored them, and wanted to be one of them. What heroes were to everyone else was what powers in shadows were to me. That's all that was. But unlike those children who adored heroes, mine was not a short-lived passion. It was something much deeper, something that burned from the depths of my heart, and it continuously propelled me forward. Karate, boxing, kendo, mixed martial arts, and more. To become strong, I threw myself into learning everything I would need, all while hiding my strength. For the sake of the day when I would get to reveal myself. At school, I was mediocrity itself. Harmless to man and beast, one and all. Mob character A. But on the flip side of my everyday life was grueling training. That was my youth, and that was my school life. But as time passed and I grew older, unease pressed upon me. It became time to face reality. The reality that all my effort was meaningless. No matter how many martial arts I master, I would still be far from the overwhelming power possessed by those powers hidden in shadows depicted in stories. The most I could achieve would be the strength to beat up a few punks. If firearms came into the picture, things would get tough. And if I got surrounded by soldiers wearing full equipment, well then, that'd be game over. Power in the shadows that gets beaten up by soldiers. How laughable. Even if I spent several more decades in training, even if I became the world's strongest martial artist, if I got surrounded by soldiers, I'd still get beaten up. Or maybe I would be able to handle it somehow. Perhaps, with enough training, humans might possess the potential to beat up soldiers even if originally surrounded. However, even if I could beat down every single soldier, if it Badong fell on my head, I'd get vaporized. That is the limit of being a human. T/N. Badong is a North Korean ICBM. This alone I could say with utmost certainty. The power in shadows that I adored would not get vaporized by a mere Badong. Which means that I, too, had to become a human who wouldn't be vaporized by it Badong. What is it that I needed such that it Badong wouldn't be able to vaporize me? Punching power? A sturdy body? Endless stamina? Of course not. I would need something different, an altogether different kind of strength. Magic, mana, chi, aura, anything was fine. I would need to acquire a mystical power of some sort. And that was the answer that I had arrived at, after facing reality. If there was someone searching for real magic, I'm sure everyone would doubt that person's sanity. So would I. Of course he's insane. But, well, how is it really? In this world, no one has yet been able to prove the existence of magic. But on the flip side, neither has anyone been able to disprove, with utter certainty, that magic does not exist. Sanity would not grant me the strength that I sought. It for sure is something that lies beyond the realm of insanity. From that point on, my training became much more difficult. Magic, mana, chi, aura. No one knew how to learn any of these. I meditated Buddhist style, I meditated under waterfalls, I meditated quietly, I fasted, I mastered yoga, I converted, I searched for spirits, I prayed, I even affixed myself to a cross. There was no correct answer. My only option was to keep going down the path that I believed in, all alone in the darkness. With the passage of time, I finally approached the last summer of my high school era. I still had yet to find magic or mana or chi or aura. After finishing the usual training, I realize that the sky has become completely dark. I put on the underwear that I dropped next to me before threading my arms through my school uniform. I still had yet to grasp a mystical power. However, I feel like I'm making some progress in my recent training. Such as right now. Having just finished a training session, there is a bright light flickering on and off inside my head, and my vision is wobbling unsteadily. Either magic, or perhaps aura. I am definitely feeling the effects of either one of those. I can say that today's training was meaningful indeed. By taking off all my clothes while in the forest, I was able to feel myself becoming one with nature. By continuously banging my head against a thick tree trunk, I was able to purge my mind of distracting thoughts and stimulate my brain to encourage it to awaken to mystical powers. It is a perfectly logical training menu. Ah, my vision is blurring over. It's almost as if I'm suffering from a cerebral concussion. With floating steps, it's as if I'm almost floating through the air. I come down from the forest. Abruptly, I see a swaying light. 2 lights actually, swerving through midair. How mysterious they are. They seem to be guiding me, inviting me. See, could it be magic? I approach with tottering steps. It must be. It's magic. Finally. I have finally found a mystical power. Before I knew it, my steps have turned into a dash. There are tree roots in my way, but even when I trip I continue rolling towards the lights, simply plunging forward like a wild animal. Magic. 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 Magic, 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 magic. I jump out before the 2 lights, and grab. Ah! The headlights dye my world pure white. The sound of screeching brakes reverberate inside my head. The shock penetrates my body, and my magic. In conclusion, I did find magic. When I woke up, my surroundings was filled with magic. It's a bit different from those 2 lights that I saw at the end, but hey, who cares about the insignificant details? Oh right, and another insignificant detail is that I apparently reincarnated. Perhaps it was because I found magic that the gate of reincarnation opened for me. Or whatever. Again, who cares? At the moment, I am a baby of several months. It was only recently that I came to be fully aware, and my sense of time is still a bit blurry, so I'm not sure of the exact details. Above anything else, I don't understand the language. All I do know is that this world has a medieval European-like culture, which, well, I suppose is good enough. Because what actually does matter is that I have finally gotten my hands on magic. That is the be-all and end-all. The process and other extra details are of no interest to me. As soon as I'd come to, I had noticed the magic. The sight of those glittering particles floating around in the air is exactly like what I had felt while running through a field of flowers buck naked as part of my training in my previous life. That training was by no means pointless. The proof of that is the fact that I'd immediately been able to sense magic, and that now I've become as proficient with it as with my own hands and legs. This feeling is just like that time when I had affixed myself to a cross while buck naked. No, it is like when I had repeatedly converted religions and danced in prayer while buck naked. I'm sure every bit of my training is now bearing fruit. I've already confirmed that physical strengthening is indeed possible. Pouring all the free time that a baby is blessed with into training, this time for sure I will become a power in the shadows. Ah, gonna poop. Speaking of which, I learned somewhere that birds are incontinent, but so are human babies. No matter how much my reasoning tells me to resist, my instinct screams at me to let it out. However, with the physical strengthening that I had spent days and nights training up, I constrict my anal sphincter to bite time, during which I call for help. Chapter 2. Bandits are basically just walking bonus stages. I think about 10 years has gone by. Magic is amazing. With it, I can easily make movements far beyond human limits. Crushing rocks? Easy. Running twice the speed of a horse? Totally. Jumping higher than houses? You bet. But I'm afraid Padang is still beyond me. Magic can up my physical resistance, but mighty are Earth's weapons. The thought that there is no Padang in this world, so isn't it fine to drop this? Did cross my mind, but what worth is there in a power in the shadows who attained his position by compromising? None, absolutely zero. Thus, I continued to strive towards attaining a body that can win over at Padang. To that aim, I have poured my days into research and training. Recently, a certain possibility has surfaced in my mind, and I'm currently experimenting on it. Oh, and by the way, the family that I was born into is apparently a noble house. It's a lineage that has continuously spat out knights that fight while using magic to strengthen themselves, so-called magic swordsmen. And I was brought up as the family's heir with sky-high expectations and respect. Or not. Nah, they just treated me like any other apprentice swordsman. Powers in shadows reveal their true strength only to people and in places of their choosing. Up till that moment. Though I am holding back, the training for apprentice swordsman is not completely useless to me. I am able to learn how this world fights with magic, and it is also a chance for me to review my own fighting style. To be blunt, the fighting techniques that I had learned in my previous life are several folds more polished and rational. This could be easily seen just by watching any modern martial arts match. Useless techniques and unnecessary movements have all been weeded out, and different schools have taken and adopted other schools' very best. That melting pot effect was indeed bringing all those schools towards the path of being perfected. Of course, modern martial arts have boundaries called rules, but that does not change the fact that their various techniques are being polished against each other and undergoing the process of selection. But this world, in comparison. Firstly, there is absolutely no way that a technique crosses between countries. Neither would a technique cross schools. There are techniques that apparently only disciples can learn and are forbidden from leaving the school grounds. Even if a technique gets publicized, there is no media to spread it. In other words, there is no melting pot, no selection, no polishing. If I had to sum them up in a single word, it would be crude. But this world's fighting is indeed fundamentally different from that of my previous world. Exactly, because of magic. Due to magic, basic physical stats of this world's people are on a totally different level. For example, physical strength. People can lift someone else up with a single hand. Just because of that, all grappling techniques become obsolete. Even if I mount someone, they can jump into the sky just by flexing their abdominal muscles. Even if I put someone into the guard position, they can send me flying with just a single leg. So yay, grappling techniques, all out the window. People fight the way that people fight, and goblins fight the way that goblins fight. That's all there is to that. Furthermore, the speed and distance of step-ins are different, so Ma-I are considered differently. And actually, this is the most important one. T/N, Ma-I refers to the space between two opponents in combat, formally, the engagement distance. It is a complex concept, incorporating not just a distance between opponents, but also the time it will take to cross the distance, angle and rhythm of attack. It is specifically the exact position from which one opponent can strike the other, after factoring in the above elements. For example, a faster opponent's Ma-I is farther away than a slower opponent. Wikipedia, martial arts are, in essence, a fight over Ma-I. Distance, angle, positioning, these are all what the fights are all about. It took me quite some time to determine my own Ma-I in this world. I mean, this world's people's Ma-I are so far away. They start fights standing 5 meters away from each other. Sure, their step-in is long, and their speed is fast, so it's not like I don't understand. At first, I was impressed with it and thought, oh, so this is this world's fighting style. But nah, turns out that it's only because their defense techniques are undeveloped. We have this kind of people in our world too, people who suck at defense, so they just meaninglessly distance themselves from their opponent as much as possible. The opponent's attack is scary, isn't it? Being in a place where their attacks can't reach you is safer, isn't it? So that's why fights become just blandless repetitions of opponents dashing in to make an attack before dashing right back out. Hit and run, is it? Sorry, useless and simple back and forth movements don't count as hit and run. To me, 5 meters and 100 meters is equally worthless. After all, proper attacks can't be launched from either distance. 6 meters, 7 meters, 10 meters, it's all the same. There's no point to it, so let's just walk closer together and close the distance, shall we? But at a certain distance, there is enormous meaning between the difference of 1 millimeter, which is my eye. Whether my attacks will hit, whether my opponent can react in time, considering the angle and various other things, gaining or losing advantage by moving half a step sideways or tilting a certain degree. By no means is it just running 5 meters to make an attack before jumping backwards 6 meters. All my preconceptions about another world and magic and all that confused me for quite a while, but recently I was finally able to determine my own ma-I, so all's good, I suppose. So yay, that's pretty much how my daily training at home goes. There's only me, my older sister, and my dad. My dad teaches my older sister and me, and my older sister and I spar. My older sister of 2 years above seems to have quite the talent, and will most likely become the heir of the house. In this world where magic can be used, even girls can become crazy strong, so girls becoming the heads of their families is not that uncommon. And because of that, I get beaten up by my sister pretty much every day. I mean, I can't win, right? After all, to become a power in the shadows, I have to act out my common life as an unremarkable mob-A. Which is why I spend every day going fui on Chan you're so strong while getting beaten up. So, such is my daily life. During the daytime, I also have studies related to being a noble, as well as various other tasks that I need to carry out as mob-A, so I don't have much free time. Therefore, my personal training naturally ends up having to be carried out at night, after everyone else has gone to sleep. Of course, that means decreasing my sleeping hours, but by combining the effects of meditation and magic's recovery powers, I was able to develop a unique sleeping style that is super short but super effective. Well then, let's work hard at training today as well. For today, I have a bit of a special menu after the usual running in the forest. As of late, it seems that some ruffians have taken to occupying a nearby abandoned village. Upon investigation, they turned out to be a bandit gang of quite some size. Yep, they make for perfect tame shikiri targets. T/N, a sort of urban legend is that there were swordsmen in the Edo period who would test out new swords by cutting up random pedestrians on the streets, and this act was called tame shikiri. I do kill random scattered brigands whenever I come across them, but something the level of a full-fledged bandit gang is like a once-in-a-year event for me, so I'm quite excited. All year long I'm in lack of a proper sparring partner, so I love these kinds of criminals. Ah, can the local public order go down please? In the rural areas of this world, criminals can generally be killed without a trial. More like, only the large cities have judges, so those in the rural areas aren't too fussed up about this kind of thing. Which is why I will judge you all, Kek. Today is to commemorate a new weapon that I have recently been trying out, the slime bodysuit. Allow me to explain what the slime bodysuit is. This world has magic. This world's people fight by using that magic to strengthen themselves and their weapons. However, there is always some degree of loss when they use magic. For example, a normal iron sword would only have 10% efficiency. You pour in 100 points of magic, but the effect is only a boost of 10 points. Which means that 90% of the magic is lost in the process. Even for mithril, a metal lauded for its high conductivity, a sword capable of 50% efficiency would already be considered to be a high-grade item. So in short, there is always a huge amount of loss. Then I came to consider slimes. Slimes are, well, true to their appearances, magical beings. They change form and move around using only magic. When I studied them further, I realized that their magical conductivity is a mind-shattering 99%. Furthermore, as they are in liquid form, they can freely change form. So I hunted slimes, crushed their cores, and experimented on the leftover slime jelly. The number of slime cores that I have crushed are easily in the thousands. It was to the degree where the local area began suffering from a slime deficiency, forcing me to go on expeditions further afield. The slime jelly was quite easy to process. After strengthening and compounding it, I was eventually able to make a full-body bodysuit out of it. Unlike armor, it does not make any sound, is comfortable, and actually even provides support to any movements I make. And of course, its defensive capabilities are also guaranteed. At the moment, I'm wearing a completely black bodysuit made from slime jelly mixed with black pigments. There is no unnecessary adornments, the suit fits my body perfectly, and my vision and breathing is unobstructed. I pretty much look exactly like the villains in a certain detective manga. Perhaps I should also think of a more appropriate design in preparation for the day when I shall intervene as a power from the shadows. So with that, I've arrived at the abandoned village. Despite the late hour, they've got torches lit up all over the place. Apparently, they've just successfully assaulted a merchant caravan, so now they're having a feast. Yep, my luck is pretty good. Bandits generally have zero planning skills, so they have a strong tendency to immediately use up whatever they get their hands on. It's only right after an assault that they actually have things worth anything. What belongs to the bandits, belongs to me. This is how I'm saving up capital for becoming a power in the shadows in the future. With max tension, I crash into the feast. I don't play the stealth route, because then that wouldn't count as practice. Hi tilde. Bring out all your money and valuables. So I yelled, standing smack dab in the middle of the camp. The fuck is with this little squirt? I'm 10 years old, so I guess the little squirt comment is not entirely undue. Ora, I said to bring out all your money. After I kick away the rude guy who called me a squirt, the other bandits finally take up their weapons. Oi, if you look down on us too much, don't think we'll go easy on you, just Gus your Ora. That guy's lines were just too cliché that I couldn't help but to cut off his head first. Naturally, my weapon is made of slime material, it's an exceptional weapon that I can take out only when needed. Furthermore, this slime sword still has several more handy functions. Handy function 1, it stretches. Ora. I stretch the slime sword and swing it in a horizontal arc to take out all the nearby bandits. The elasticity of Machi paired with the sharpness of an actual sword. It's the first time I'm using it in real combat, so I had been slightly apprehensive, but turns out it performs quite well. Ora. After getting caught up in the moment and cutting every which way indiscriminately, I suddenly realize that the surroundings has become really quiet. There's only one guy left? Why, you, who the hell are you? Sigh, no other choice. I'll test handy function 2 on you then. Wait, what are you saying? It seems that you're a bit stronger than all those other guys, so you're probably the boss or something, yay? Unfortunately, there is zero possibility for you to win against me, but if you agree to be my practice partner, then you can probably live for 2 more minutes. Try your best, alright? Fuck you, making light of me. I'll have you know, I'm. Unnecessary comments are unnecessary, seriously. Fuck you. Bossa charges at me in rage. In the face of that dull slash, I choose not to evade. So Boss A's sword smashes into my chest, the shock causing me to roll onto the ground. Ha, this is what happens when you make light of me. I have completely mastered Royal Capital Bush Ant style. Wait, what? Not even a scratch. I stand back up as if nothing had happened. I am completely satisfied with the suit's defense capabilities. Seems like it can completely negate at least something on the level of Boss A's attacks. Oh, Royal Capital Bush in style? Isn't it the school that has been pretty popular in the Royal Capital of late? Hey, show me more. Shit, you asked for it. Boss attacks. Yay, easy. He's giving his very best and trying to cut me, but I don't even have to hold up my sword. Just with positioning and stepping alone, handling him is easy peasy. But this bush in style? I think I quite like it. Uncommonly so for this world, I can see that this style is not one bound by idealism or trite traditions, but takes direct and rational ways to close into the opponent. I can recognize that even from Boss A's crappy swings. Instantaneous acceleration, pressing forward by half steps, and the variety of other methods to press towards the opponent resonates with me. But, well, Boss A is really just too crappy at it. The moment when Boss A's attacks let up, I easily step out of his my sword. Why didn't you get cut? I mean, you're weaker than my dad. You're probably stronger than my older sister at the moment, but she'll probably overtake you in 1 more year or so, I think. You goddamn breath. After parrying Boss A's reckless swings, I lightly kick his shin. Light, but snappy, it was a kick from below the knee. At which, Boss A crumples into a kneel, pressing down on his shin. Red blood gurgles through his fingers and makes a stain on the ground. What happened was simple, there is a nice pick-like sword extending from my toes. Slam bodysuit handy function too, able to extend a sword whenever and wherever I want. The way I thought to use this function is to kick the opponent's leg with a sword extending from my toes. It is really hard to defend against an attack aimed at the legs. Block the opponent's sword with my own, seal their movements, then kick their leg. Bland, but effective. Guess there's no point keeping up with this any longer. Wait. You didn't even last the full 2 minutes, man. I kick upwards with the sword from my toes, skewering Boss A's head from under his chin. Death by impalement. Kicking away Boss A's convulsing body, I search the camp for loot. I don't know a fence who can handle these works of art. Foodstuffs I don't need either. Come on, where are you? Cash and jewels and precious metals. There were several carts of loot. And also several corpses of merchants. I've already helped you guys take revenge, and your goods will be used for a good cause, so rest in peace, alright? I gathered the passable quality of loot and offered a moment of silence. If I convert all this to cash, I guess it'll be about 5 million zenny. Oh, 1 zenny is about the same value as 1 yen. All of this will become the funding for my activities as a power in the shadows. If only the entire world could have worse public order such that it would overflow with bandits. Maybe to the level in games, where you can encounter one just by walking several steps on the road. Work harder in your next life and become the bandit king, alright? So I say to the silent Boss A. Before noticing something further beyond. Cage. It's a pretty big and sturdy looking one too. Slave? I can't fence that, so pass, but maybe, just maybe, there's something good in there. So just in case, I remove the tarp covering the cage. This I did not expect. Inside is, how to say? A rotten lump of flesh? I can just barely make out the humanoid shape, but can't discern the gender nor age nor anything else. But well, it's still living. Maybe it still even has consciousness. When I peered into the cage, I noticed the lump of meat twitching. I've heard of this before. It's called demon possession, and the church executes these monsters. They were originally born as normal humans, but one day their body suddenly begins to rot away. They would eventually die if left alone, but the church proactively buys them and executes them in the name of purification. This purification of demons is pretty much just genocide of patients, but the church gains acclamation from the populace for protecting the common populace from the demons. What can I say, it's medieval Europe indeed. If I sell this lump of meat to the church, it'll fetch a price higher than the combined worth of everything I looted today. But again, I can't actually go sell it, so there's no meaning to it. Guess I'll at least just put it to rest. I slide the slime sword in between the bars of the cage. But then suddenly realized something. There is an enormous amount of magic inside this lump of meat. Even though I've been training my magic ever since I was a baby, the amount I have still pales in comparison. What a monstrous amount of magic! And furthermore, this wave. Is it magic deviation? Is it possibly the case that the reason why this lump of meat became like this is due to magic deviation? Previously, I had also suffered from magic deviation. If I hadn't successfully brought my magic back under control that time, would I have also become like this? Magic has an undeniable effect on the physical body. A certain day, I thought of a certain possibility. Would it be possible that through magic deviation, I can train my body to become further accustomed to magic, such that it can become easier for me to control magic? But purposely causing magic deviation is too dangerous, so in the end I had shelved the idea. But if this lump of meat is truly the product of magic deviation, and if I can perform my experiments on this lump of meat, then I can get even closer to the strength of a power in the shadows with zero risk to myself. This meat can be of use. I reach out to the lump of meat, and begin to pour magic into it. Chapter 3. Sudden emergence of the Order of Diabolos? It's been almost a month, I guess. While thinking of the day I got my hands on that lump of meat, I sigh deeply while standing in that same abandoned village. How did things become like this? The experimentation on the lump of meat went well until around halfway through. Since it was not my own body, I had no qualms about pouring in tons and tons of magic. Not this, not that, maybe this way, maybe that way, oh I just had tons of fun with the experiments day after day. Damn, it was fun. I got closer to the essence of magic, and felt my own strength growing at a visible rate. Everything was good. I improved on my magic control, making it denser, finer, and stronger, until the moment came that I was able to completely suppress the magic deviation. Then suddenly I found a young blonde elf girl in front of my eyes. I was too absorbed in controlling my magic that I didn't notice the lump of meat turning into a blonde elf until that moment. It's pretty amazing, being able to return from being that lump of meat. So I pretty much decided to send her off like you're free now, so return to your home. Or may you be happy in the future. But then she was like, I can no longer go home, and like I must return this debt of gratitude. I mean, seriously, I wasn't helping you, you're just a coincidental outcome, alright? It seemed like a pain, and I considered just running away, but in the end I agreed to have her become my very first subordinate as a power in the shadows. Doesn't seem like she'll betray me, and she seems pretty smart, and kind of possesses an unnecessarily capable aura. Even though her age is 10 just like me, but apparently the rumor that tells mature mentally much faster wasn't a lie. Which is why, from today onwards, your name will be Alpha. Alpha, either way is fine. I understand. She nodded. Blonde hair, blue eyes, white skin, outstanding beauty, she's very much the stereotypical elf. And as for your duties, I stop talking and take a moment to think. This part is important. Her job is to support me as a power in the shadows, that's for sure. But then I'd have to clarify exactly what a power in the shadows means, and what my actual aim is. In other words, I have to tell her the fundamentals of my role in this world as a power in the shadows. The setting of any plot is important. If the reason for fighting is because I got pissed after losing at pachinko, then that'll just be dumb. In that area, I am thoroughly prepared. Before coming to this world, and certainly after coming to this world, I've continuously dreamt of my best idea of being a power in the shadows. Combining together the several thousands, several tens of thousands of patterns that I had thought up previously, I instantaneously arrived at the optimum scenario. From the shadows, we shall interfere with, and stop, the resurrection of the demon Diabolos. The demon Diabolos. Alpha tilts her head in puzzlement. I'm sure you already know that in distant history, the demon Diabolos had almost completely destroyed the entire world. However, 3 heroes, one an elf, one a beast person, and one a human, stood up and defeated Diabolos, thus saving the world. I've also heard that before, but isn't that just a fairy tale? No, it actually happened. Though the truth was much more complicated than the fairy tale. So saying, I smile wryly. For someone of my capabilities, combining this world's various legends into a believable struggle in the shadows scenario is a piece of cake. Right before he died, Diabolos casted a curse on the 3 heroes. That is called the Curse of Diabolos. The Curse of Diabolos? I've never heard of such a thing. No, the Curse of Diabolos truly exists. But it is commonly known by another name - demon possession. Indeed, it is exactly what you had been suffering from. How could that be? Alpha's eyes open wide in shock. The descendants of the heroes who defeated Diabolos will forever suffer from that curse. However, long ago, that curse of Diabolos was treatable. Just as you were. The fact that Alpha's skin is now white and unblemished, as if she had never been afflicted with demon possession, is the greatest proof of what I'm saying. It's all a big, fat lie though. Demon possession is the proof of being a descendant of one of the heroes. As the children of those who had saved the world, they were valued, protected, thanked, and extolled. All in past tense though. But now we are not thanked. Rather, we are. Alpha's face scrunches up, unable to continue her sentence. Someone had distorted history. Hiding the fact of it being the symbol of the heroes, hiding the method to treat the curse, and furthermore even renaming it as demon possession and turning it into a target of scorn. WHO. Who would do something like that? They are those who are plotting the resurrection of the demon Diabolos. Those suffering from the curse of Diabolos are, without exception, those with high magic capabilities due to having heavily inherited the blood of the heroes. In other words, they are a precious military strength, and thus obstacles to Diabolos. Which is why they call it demon possession and execute them. They're the lowest of the low. Having been branded with the fabricated sin of demon possession, having been chased from your home and family, do you feel hatred? I hate them. How can I not? The Order of Diabolos. That is our enemy. They would never stand in the public stage. As such, we too must lurk in the shadows. We will lurk in the shadows, and we will hunt the shadows. To possess that much influence even without appearing in the public stage. In other words, it means this order must have many members in very powerful positions, and that there are many people being manipulated by them without even knowing of their existence. I nod gravely. It will be a path filled with thorns and thistles. However, this is something that must be done. Will you lend me your strength? If it is your wish, I am resolved to even offer my life. On top of which, this is my own wish as well. We shall succeed without fail. Alpha fixes her blue eyes on me and laughs with fearlessly. Her young and beautiful eyes are filled with resolve and determination. I mentally do a guts pose. Damn ye, this elf is hella gullible. Naturally, the Order of Diabolos does not exist, so no matter how hard she searches, there's no way she'd find anything. Every once in a while, we'll go take out some random bandit gang on suspicion of being a member of the Order. Or we'll jump in and interrupt a fight between some protagonist-like people and say things like the destruction of this world is nigh. Or the resurrection of the demon is nigh. Before making a flashy exit. Or we can flashily show up on a battlefield and say, "Oh ye foolish sheep who know not that you are being manipulated." Before taking everyone out. Oh, all the things that we can do. The sky's the limit. Oh right, as for the all-important name of our organization. we shall be known as Shadow Garden. We who lurk in the shadows and hunt the shadows. Shadow Garden. What a wonderful name. Today, at this moment, Shadow Garden came to be. And at the same time, the enemy of this world, the Order of Diabolos, was also born. I have taken one more step towards becoming a power in the shadows. Well, for now, let's just improve our magic control and swordsmanship. The bulk of the fighting I will take on, but I will assign you to deal with a small fry, so you'll also have to become at least strong enough to handle that much. I understand. The enemy is powerful, so we have to raise our own strength. Yep, exactly. And we must also search at the other descendants of the heroes and safeguard them. Yay, that too. In moderation. Playing as a power in the shadows with more people would indeed give it more of an organization feel, but we don't really need too many. To be honest, personally speaking, I'm fine if it's just the two of us. Well, for the near future, let's focus on getting stronger first. So saying, I bring up my wooden sword and parry Alpha's attack. She has made enormous progress after only a month of training. Her sense is great, and she has more than enough magic. Seems she'll be of quite some use. So I thought as I continued swinging my wooden sword underneath the moonlight. Chapter 4. If only he had hair. It has been about 3 years since the establishment of Shadow Garden. Alpha and I have both become 13 years old, and my older sister Claire is now 15. There is no particular meaning associated with the age 13, but that is not the case with the age 15. When the children of nobles reach 15, they have to attend a school in the royal capital for 3 years. Naysan is pretty much the rising hope of the Kaganu Baron family, so my mom is all pumped up with setting up the farewell party and all that. Yep, rising hope indeed. T/N, Naysan is what the Mick calls his older sister. All that's fine and all. Really. But problem is, when it came day for her to actually set off for the capital, she up and disappeared. Thus the enormous tumult at the Kaganu house at the moment. When I came into the room, it was already like this. So says my father in a dandy voice. His face isn't too bad either. There is no sign of a struggle, but the window was indeed forced open from the outside. The fact that neither I nor Claire was alerted means the kidnapper very skilled indeed. My dandy dad places one hand on the windowsill and looks off into the distance. All that's missing from this picture is a whiskey glass in his hand. And hair. So? A chilling voice is directed at him. Very skilled, so there's no helping it? Is that what you're trying to say? It's Mom. No, of course not. I was merely stating the facts. So answers my dad as cold sweat rolls down his face. You stupid body. I'm sorry, I'm very sorry. By the way, I'm heir. Nothing is expected of me, and neither do I cause any trouble. That's the position in this family that I'm striving to maintain. But well, Naysan was a pretty good person, so it's a bit of a pity. The crime happened at night when I was at the abandoned village, so there was nothing that I could have done either. I quietly listened to my parents bickering and, at the first chance I get, return to my own room. I place my palms together in the direction that Naysan had disappeared, then dive into my bed. Then. You may come out now. Yes, my lord. Immediately, my curtains sway slightly, and a young girl wearing a black slime bodysuit steps out. Beta, huh? Yes, my lord. Same as Alpha, she is also a young elf girl. But where Alpha has blonde hair, Beta's is silver. She of the cat-like green eyes and a mole under her eye was the third person to join Shadow Garden. Even though I told Alpha in moderation, but Alpha brings them in like stray cats or something, so their numbers keep growing. Where's about Alpha? Searching for traces of Claire-sama. Fast reaction. You think Naysan is still alive? Likely so. Can she be saved? Possible, yes. But might require Shadow-sama's help. Ah, by the way, they're calling me Shadow. 'Cause I'm the master of Shadow Garden, foo. Is that what Alpha said? Yes, my lord. She said that since they have a hostage, it would be best to bring our full force. To be frank, Alpha has gotten quite strong. The fact that even Alpha is asking for help must mean that someone of very significant power is involved. My blood boils. I clench my fist while instantaneously releasing magic to create a small explosion. There's no particular meaning to it, but I like this kind of theatrics. I can hear Beta murmuring as expected. With surprise. As of late, I haven't been in lack of a sparring partner, what with Alpha and Beta and Delta and the crew, but something fresh is good every once in a while. Above all else, I want to play at being a power in the shadows, so this seems like a good opportunity. It's been a while since I last got serious. Just like so, I've also gotten used to exuding the aura of a power hidden in the shadows. Also, lately Alpha and Beta have taken to fleshing out our setting even further, so it's been a blast. The criminal is, as expected, part of the Order of Diabolos. Even more, he is one of their upper echelons. One of their echelons, huh? So why did they kidnap Nasan? They suspect her of being a descendant of the heroes. HMPH, those sharp-eyed bastards. So yay, like that. Furthermore, they've also been gathering research and saying things like as expected, your words were entirely correct. And about 1,000 years ago, Diabolos descendants. And from this stone monument we can glean clues that point to the existence of the Order of Diabolos. And other similar such. I mean, I can't read ancient letters, so how would I know? I bet Alpha can't really read them either, so she just lays out all these ancient looking materials and whatnot of a similar general feeling in front of me, so that we can feel like we're making some headway in investigating the Order. I'm sure that must be it. Please take a look at these documents. These are the hideouts that we think Claire Sama might be held in, based on our latest intel. After saying that, Bates plonks a huge pile of paper on my table. Okay, seriously, I have no idea what to do with all this. More than half of it is in an ancient language and the rest is filled with indecipherable mathematical equations or something. Damn, you guys have gotten good at making up this kind of stuff. I'll admit, you all have gotten even more pro at it than me. While ignoring Beta's explanations, I take out a throwing knife and throw it at the map on the wall. Thunk. With a dull sound, the knife pierces a certain point. There. That place? What is there? That's where Nasan is. But that place, there's nothing. No, wait, could it be? Beta hurriedly rummages through the materials as if she'd just realized something. Yeah, I just randomly threw that knife, alright? But wow, your acting is good, Beta. I can see where this is going. You're going to tell me that there is a secret hideout at that location, aren't you? In conclusion, after comparing various sources, it seems that there is indeed a high possibility that there is a secret hideout at the location that Shadow-sama just pointed out. Called it. But still, to read through this enormous amount of materials in a split second and even deduce the location of a hidden hideout. As expected of Shadow-sama. You still lack training, Beta. I shall double my diligence. Seriously, she's good. Even though I know it's acting, but I can still feel the emotions that she's conveying. You've got all the important points down pat, Beta. I shall inform Alpha-sama at once. Will we move tonight? Beta bows, then takes her leave. Her eyes are glittering and all, such that I can totally feel the respect and whatnot. Cheers to her academy level acting. Chapter 5. Real member of the Order, and real person of the curse. A man was walking alone through a dark underground tunnel. Age in the mid-30s. A well-trained body and sharp eyes. Swept back gray hair. His footsteps stopped as he reached the end of the tunnel. In front of him was a door protected by two soldiers. Is the Kagan a girl inside? Yes, Obasama. The soldier that he addressed saluted, then unlocked the door. Sir, please mind yourself in there. Though restrained, she is extremely aggressive. HMPH, who do you think I am? I'm very sorry, sir. Oba opened the door then walked in. The room beyond was an underground stone-walled jail. A single girl was affixed to the wall with magic sealing chains. You must be Claire Kaganu. At Olba's voice, the girl called Claire raised her head. She was a very beautiful girl. As she had been kidnapped while sleeping, she was still wearing a thin negligee that could not hide her full breasts nor her luscious thighs. With her silk-like black hair cut in a straight line behind her back, the girl glared up at Olba with strong-willed eyes. I've seen your face at the royal capital before. If I remember correctly, you are Viscount Olba, are you not? Who? You were with the Imperial Guards previously. Ah, no, it was at the tournament during the Festival of the God of War? Festival of the God of War, hey. Oh yes, that time when Princess Iris cut you up every which way. Claire laughed in merriment. HMPH, it was within the limits of a match, and thus didn't mean anything. In a real fight, there's no way I'd lose to her. Nothing would be different in a real fight, oh Viscount Olba, who lost in the first round in the tournament. Fool. You don't even know how much of an honor it is to simply just stand on the stage of that tournament, you ignorant girl. Olba glared back at Claire. I will be able to stand on that stage just 1 year later. Too bad for you, you don't have a year left. The chains restricting Claire clinked. Immediately afterwards, her teeth snapped just barely short of Olba's neck. If Olba hadn't tilted his head that little bit, then his carotid artery might have been torn out right there and then. The one who can't live for 1 more year, will that truly be me? Or will it be you? Do you want to bet on it? No need for the bet, Claire Kaganu. Olba's fist slammed into the chin beneath Claire's dauntless smile. She crashed onto the stone ground, but her strong eyes never left Olba. Olba lowered his fist, having felt less resistance on his fist than expected. You jumped backwards. Claire smiled dauntlessly. Was there a fly in the room? HMPH, seems you're not just led around the nose by your large magic capacity. I was taught that magic is not about amount, but control. What a good father you have. I've never learned a thing from that baldy. It was my little brother. My impertinent little brother. Every time we fight, I'd win. But I'm always learning from my little brother's sword. But he never learns anything from my sword. That's why I pick on him every day. So said Claire in an impish tone. What a pitiful younger brother. That would make me an ally of justice who saved him from his tyrannical older sister. Anyways, that's enough pointless banter. Olba cleared his throat and fixed his gaze on Claire. Claire Kaganu. As of late, have you felt anything strange with your body? For example, your control over your magic slipping, or your health being unstable, or sharp pain whenever you try to use magic, or black rot appearing on parts of your body. Do any of those symptoms bring anything to mind? After going to all the trouble of kidnapping me, what you wanted to do was to play doctor. The edge of Claire's glossy lips raised into a sneer. I, too, previously had a daughter. I do not wish to employ more violent means. Answering my questions honestly would lead to the best outcome for us both. Oh, is that a threat? Unfortunately, I have a personality that makes me want to rebel when threatened. Even if my head understands that it would not be logical to do. So you mean to say that you have no intention to cooperate? I wonder. Olba and Claire glared at each other. The one who broke the silence first was Claire. Very well. It's nothing big anyways, so I'll tell you. You mentioned instability with my body and magic, right? Now I'm perfectly fine, aside from these chains. Now? Yes, now. It was about a year ago when I had those symptoms that you listed. You mean to say that you no longer have them? They went away by themselves? To Olba's knowledge, there's never been a case of that being healed. I didn't really do anything Oh right, my little brother had me do something he called stretches? I don't really know the details, but he asked me to practice it, and before I knew it my body returned to being in top condition. Stretches? Never heard of it. But the fact that you had the symptoms before means that there's no mistake, you are indeed compatible. Compatible? With what? There's no need for you to know. You'll be broken before long anyways. Ah, I'll need to investigate your brother too then. Something suddenly smashed into Olba's nose, cutting off his words. Olba retreated to the door, glaring at Claire while suppressing his nosebleed. Claire Kaganu, you bitch. All four of her limbs were supposedly restricted, but for some reason her left arm is currently hanging free, with blood dripping down from it. You scraped off your own flesh and dislocated your finger. The chains binding her were not normal chains, but magic sealing chains. In other words, Claire had used pure brute strength to chafe off her own skin, crush her finger bones, and thus free her arm from the chain. That's how she was able to hit Olba. Olba was greatly shocked at that truth. If something happens to him, I will never forgive you. I will kill you, your loved ones, your family, your friends, and everyone else that means anything to you. Olba's full power punch landed on Claire's stomach. Bound in place by the magic sealing chains, Claire had no way to evade Olba's magic strength and blow. You breath. Olba spat on Claire's crumpled body. The blood that flowed from Claire's left hand was pooling together into a dark red stain on the ground. No matter. You should now understand. So muttering, Olba reached towards that blood. But right at that moment, a soldier breathlessly rushed into the room. Olba-sama, it's terrible. We have intruders. Intruders? How many? Unknown. They seem to be few in numbers, but we are being completely run over. You, very well, I'll go out myself. You'll ought fall back and set up a defensive formation. After clicking his tongue once, Olba turned around. Hi. This is Novel Admire. Thanks for the visit. Chapter 6. Your drug test result is positive. By the time Olba reached the front lines, the entire area was already thoroughly dyed with blood. The soldiers protecting this high-value facility were by no means weak. Among them were even those with enough strength to join the Imperial Guards. But this. How did this happen? In the hall of this underground facility, at the only point where light could shine in from the outside, there is an entire mountain of corpses. All of them bore only a single sword wound. Completely dominated by an overwhelming difference in strength. It was you bastards. The target of Olba's glare is a group of individuals wearing black bodysuits. Judging from the bulges on their bodies, all of them are young girls of small stature. They number 7 in total. But in this location currently illuminated only by moonlight, their presence is so thin that Olba would lose sight of them if he let his attention wander for even a moment. The girls, through their uncommonly high proficiency with magic, are controlling their own presence. They possess power enough to match that of his own. Olba has no choice but to acknowledge this fact. Among them, a young girl drenched head to toe with blood looks Olba up and down under the light of the moon. That moment, alarm bells go off inside Olba's head. There is no particular reason, it is all instinct. Every fiber of his being is screaming at him that she is dangerous. While the blood of her bodysuit drips onto the ground, drip drop, she also begins to slowly approach him. All while slovenly dragging her blood-soaked sword over the ground, leaving a trail of blood behind. Who are you people? What is your aim? So asks Olba while suppressing his fear. Every single one of them has enough strength to rival his own, but there are 7 of them. How out of luck is he? To do battle would be sheer folly. Even while lamenting his own unluckiness, Olba continues to search for a way out of this situation. But the bloodstained girl does not seem to have heard Olba's question. She only laughs. Underneath her bloodstained mask, the bloodstained girl only laughs. I'm going to be killed. Or so thought Olba, when. Fall back, Delta. The bloodstained girl stops moving. Then she turns back as if nothing had happened. Olba watches her go with a sigh of relief. In exchange, a different girl steps forward. We are Shadow Garden. It is a voice so beautiful that if the situation wasn't as it is, he might have fallen in love with it. And I am Alpha. And suddenly, he realizes that she had taken off her mask. Under the moonlight, her skin shines a dazzling white. The girl takes one step forward. A blonde elf. Beauty enough to steal his breath away. Then she takes another step forward. Our aim is the destruction of the Order of Diabolos. She swings a black blade that had appeared in her hand out of nowhere through the air. The night was sliced through. Or so the black blade caused Olba to hallucinate. The air pressure, the sword pressure, every single part of it intimidated and terrorized Olba. How on earth did she manage to gain such strength at such a young age? Olba finds himself shuddering with both jealousy and fear. But what he finds more shocking than her strength are the words that had come out of her mouth. You bastards! Where did you hear that name from? The Order of Diabolos. In this facility, there is only a small handful of people who know of this name. We know about it all. The demon Diabolos, the curse of Diabolos, the descendants of the heroes, as well as the truth of demon possession. How, what, that? Among what Alpha just said were things that even Olba learned of only recently. Those secrets are protected so carefully that there is no way they had leaked outside. Did you think that you people were the only ones chasing the curse of Diabolos? This information leak can never be forgiven. But to kill these girls to plug the leak? He does not possess the strength to do so. In that case, what Olba must do is to survive. He must survive and warn headquarters of these girls' existence. Therefore, Olba charges forward. Olba draws his sword with vigor, and slashes at Alpha. How reckless. Alpha easily parries his sword. Her counter slashes Olba's cheek, causing blood to fly through the air. But Olba does not stop. Again and again, without regard for how many times his swings miss, Olba continues brandishing his sword, searching for an opportunity to escape. But she dodges every stroke by a paper's length. Exerting only the minimum amount of movement, she has already fully seen through his swordsmanship and dodges everything perfectly. In converse, it is Olba who is getting cut. Cuts on his arms. Cuts on his legs. Cuts on his shoulders. But none of the cuts are fatal. Determining that her intention is to subdue himself for interrogation's sake instead of to kill, Olba laughs. He has finally found the path to victory. After the nth time that his sword slices through empty air, Olba suffers a cut to his chest, and totters back in retreat. Seems that continuing this any longer would be a mere waste of time. Olba does not answer. Kneeling down while pressing down on his chest wound, Olba smiles. Then drinks something. What are you? What? Abruptly, Olba's body doubles in size. His skin turns jet black, his muscles expand, and his eyes turn red. And above all else, the amount of magic in his body increases explosively. Without any notice, Olba's blade flashes in a mowing attack. Alpha manages to block in time, but the shock causes her to grimace. As a snap judgment, she decides to take some distance by riding the shock and jumping backwards. What an interesting trick. Flapping her slightly numbed hands, Alpha tilts her head. That wavelength is magic deviation, is it not? And you are trying to suppress it with brute strength? Alpha-sama, will you be alright? So asks another girl at the back, seeing Alpha retreat for the first time in this fight. Not a problem, Beta. It's merely gotten a bit annoying. When Alpha returns her attention towards Olba, he is no longer there. Instead, there is now a square hole in the spot that he had been standing, with a staircase extending downwards. Hidden door. He ran away. He got away. Shall we give chase? But Alpha stops the girl who was preparing to jump into the hole. No need. At the other end. He is there. Speaking of which, earlier Shadow-sama did say that he'd go ahead and split up from us. Could it be? Indeed. He went off towards an undetermined direction, so I'd originally thought that he had gotten lost, but... Alpha laughs gently. To think that he had predicted even this outcome. He never ceases to amaze. The eyes of the girls peering into the hole are all glittering with respect. Chapter 7. A simple fighting lesson, power in shadows style, with only this much, you are also a power in the shadows? I'm lost. So I mutter to myself in an underground facility with nary a soul in sight. It was fine when we all came together and crashed this hideout. But then I got bored fighting with the small fries, so I thought to go on ahead and find the boss first. But then this is the result. Size, and I had even practiced my lines for when I meet the boss. But still, this facility sure is huge. Guess this time it's bandits who had occupied an abandoned military facility. NN? At that moment, I feel the presence of someone approaching from the other side of the underground passage. After a short while, the other side also notices me. They stop a certain distance away from me. To think that I was forestalled. It's a guy with bulging muscles. And for some reason, his eyes are glowing red. What on earth is that? It's so cool. Can he shoot beams out of his eyes? But it is only a single person. This will be easy. The red-eyed guy makes a twisted smile, then disappears. Or so it would probably seem to a normal person, but he's just moving quickly. But, well. I stop Red-Eye's sword with a single hand. Since I know the direction that he'll be coming from, that speed is not really that much of a threat. Plus, power is all about how it's used. Way. Lightly pushing the shoulder of the surprised Red-Eye, I take my distance. He has even more magic than Alpha. But unfortunately, he doesn't know how to control it at all. He's just a moron with a lot of magic. Incidentally, I am really not fond of the brutish fighting style that simply relies on doping upon magic to raise one's strength and speed. Of course, I am not making light of the importance of physical specs. If I was really forced to choose between power or technique, then I would choose power without hesitation. There is no worth in techniques if there is no power. But the imperfect and warped way of fighting by solely relying on physical specs like simple strength, simple speed, and simple reaction time that completely disregards and gives up on the details, that kind of fighting style is something that I really hate. Physical specs is genetics, but techniques are effort. That's why I, and the power in the shadows that I am aiming to be, would never lose in the area of technique. I apply techniques to my strength, apply schemes to my use of speed, and search for possibilities with my reaction time. Physical specs are important, sure, but I would never stupidly fight while relying solely on it. You could say that that is my aesthetics in regards to battle. Which is why I am slightly ticked off by this magic dope tretard. So I'll give him a bit of a lesson on the proper way to use magic. Lesson 1. I raise my slammed sword, and walk towards him. 1 step. 2 steps. Then the 3rd step. The moment I took my 3rd step, Red-Eye swings his sword. That is his ma-eye. At that moment, I accelerate. I only used a tiny bit of magic, I concentrated only on my foot, compressed the magic, then released it all at once. That was it. With only that much, the explosion of the compressed magic propels me forward with great vigor. Red-Eye's sword swings through midair. But I've already entered my ma-eye. I no longer need speed. Don't need strength either. Don't even need magic anymore. I caress Red Eye's neck with my jet black blade. Just a tiny slice of skin on his neck. After leaving a red line on Red Eye's neck, I leave my eye. At the same time, Red Eye's sword barely grazes my cheek. Lesson 2. I dash forward again in conjunction with Red Eye drawing back his blade. This time, I don't use any magic. Which is why Red Eye is much faster. But regardless of how high his speed, he cannot attack at the same time. Which is why he gets closed in on. It is only a mere half step. An almost insignificant distance. A distance that is far from me, close for him. A moment of silence. Red Eye is conflicted. I can see it. In the end, Red Eye chooses to draw back. I knew it. I'd already read from the movement of his magic that would be his choice. Which is why, even though Red Eye is faster, it is me who moves first. I close the distance faster than he retreats, and the tip of my blade caresses his leg. A bit deeper than last time. Q. Red Eye lets out a grunt of pain, then retreats even more further. I choose not to chase him. Lesson 3. This tutorial session has only just begun. Has he ever felt such a disparity in strength? So thinks Solba while his body is cut again and again by that jet black sword. Even when he was fighting with that elf who called herself Alpha, even when he fought and lost to that princess at the festival of the War of God, he did not feel such a huge disparity. If he really had to draw a comparison, it would be from his childhood, when he had barely begun taking up the sword and was facing off against his master. Child versus master. Beginner versus expert. The word fight is not even applicable. What he is currently feeling is exactly the same as from back then. His opponent is a young boy who by no means looks strong. At the very least, Olba doesn't feel the sense of pressure from when he fought Alpha. If he really had to sum it up into a single word, it would be natural. His stance, his magic, his swordsmanship, every single thing about his opponent is natural. There is nothing of note in regards to his strength or speed or anything else. No, it's simply that he doesn't need any of it. His sword is purely and perfected, completed with skill alone. Olba's overwhelming advantage in magic capacity is being overturned by skill alone. Which is why he is feeling that absolute sense of defeat. The fact that Olba is still standing, that he is still alive, is solely because his opponent has decided so. If he ever changes his mind, Olba's life can be snuffed out in a split second. Olba in his current state can heal all non-fatal wounds. Of course, there is a limit, and there are also negative side effects. However, having lost a large amount of blood, having had his flesh sliced open and his bones severed, even he needs time for the recovery. Despite being in such danger, Olba is still alive. No, he is being allowed to live on. So Olba asks, why? Why do you allow me to live on? Why are you hostile to me? Why are you so strong? So, why? The young boy covered in black merely looks down at Olba. Lurking in the shadows, hunting the shadows. That is the only reason why we exist. It is a deep voice somehow tinged with sorrow. From that alone, Olba manages to determine the boy's identity. You plan to resist. That? In this world, there are those that the law cannot judge. Olba knows this, and thinks of himself as part of them. Power. Privilege. And hidden faces. The light of the law cannot reach the edges of the world. Even while enjoying that benefit, Olba himself is stepped on by those above him, being broken by them. Thus Olba sought greater power. And fell. Even if it is you, and even with all of you. No matter how strong you are, you cannot win. This world's darkness runs much deeper than you can imagine. Which is why Olba said such things. It was not a warning, but a wish. A wish that this young boy, too, would be broken, would lose everything, would be plunged into despair. But at the same time, he is afraid that his wish would not come to be. Simple jealousy and envy. Then I will dive. It matters not how deep. There is no fighting spirit in his voice, nor a burning vigor. Only complete confidence in himself, and an unshakable resolve. You say it so easily, you Brett. Olba cannot accept this. He absolutely cannot accept this. Because that is what Olba previously aimed for, but was broken by. At this moment, Olba decides to cross that last line. He takes out a lozenge from his chest pocket, then swallows it. Olba has already resigned himself to the fact that he would not be able to leave this place alive. Therefore he will use his own life to teach this brat about this world's darkness. Chapter 8. Powers in the shadows are lonely. The aura around Olba is changing. The frenzied magic that I'd been feeling from him is shrinking, being compressed, and contained within his body. His blood vessels are bursting, his muscles are tearing apart, and his bones are snapping, but everything is being recovered instantaneously. Surpassing the limits of being human, a vast amount of magic now dwells inside his body. The Order calls this awakening. Now that he's become like this, there is no way to revert back. However, in exchange, he gains tremendous power. Together with a beast-like roar, Olba's figure disappears. Together with a dull sound, the young boy clad in black is blown away. Right before he smashes in the wall, the boy kicks it, then fixes his stance and lands. However, Olba's sword continues to send the boy flying around like a rag doll. So slow. So light. So brittle. This is reality, you Brett. Olba continues attacking. Every time there is a sound, the boy is blown away. Olba's slashes are absolutely fast, absolutely heavy, and absolutely merciless. An overwhelming amount of violence. When a tiger kills a rabbit, it doesn't need to use any tricks. It simply brandishes its strength, and that's enough. There is no way to resist. The boy in black is one-sidedly being crushed. Or so Olba expected. Blood suddenly spurts from Olba's chest. When was this not so shallow cut made? Olba stops moving for an instant, but then sends the young boy flying again the next moment. It's useless. It's completely useless, you Brett. Olba's wound is supposed to be deep enough to reach bone. However, the wound bubbles, then regenerates in a split second. This is power. This is strength. Olba accelerates even more. The scene of him spurting blood while zooming through the air is almost like a red flash. Black versus red. The two clash, the black is sent flying, while the red spurts blood. The exchange of blows cannot be followed by the naked eye. Only the red afterimages and the sight of the black being sent flying indicate that there is something going on. But this does not last long. The disparity between the two is obvious, and it requires no stretch of imagination to predict the black being destroyed eventually. It is supposed to be a fight where there's no way for him to lose. Repeatedly he swings his sword, and repeatedly he demonstrates his dominance over the black. But, why? Why? How does the boy in black continue to stand back up again and again, looking none the worse? Why? Why can't I reach you? There is no visible change on the black. Having used almost no magic, having made almost no movement, simply allowing his body to follow the flow of Olba's attacks. Exactly like a leaf caught in a rapid current. But he was not only flowing along, but also using Olba's momentum to deliver accurate and precise strikes. There is nothing unnecessary, nothing extraneous. Just being natural, letting things be the way they are. How ugly. So says the black. Those eyes that seem like they can see through all things are focused on Olba. What do you know? What the fuck do you know? ? So screams Olba. With that, his sword, his body, his everything is poured into a mowing attack accompanied by a howl. Even if it costs him his life, he will erase this black. This strike is well and truly the greatest one that Olba has ever made in his entire life. But playtime is over. It is easily bisected. As if swinging through empty air, the black sword completes its trajectory without any resistance. Olba's sword, his immense amount of magic, his well-trained body, all of it was cut in half by a single swing. The jet black sword has no magic, no strength, and no speed. It was perfected with only pure skill. Or so Olba originally thought. But that wasn't it. What was that? It was indeed a stroke that could cut through anything and everything. As it sliced through his sword, his magic, his flesh, and his bones, Olba noticed it. That stroke contained a highly condensed amount of magic, a tremendous amount of strength, and an overwhelming amount of speed. And to top it all, there was skill. This is true perfection. Apparently the black had possessed everything from the very start. It was only that he didn't use it. There is absolutely nothing that stroke cannot cut. To think it was to this level. Blood spurts into the air. The upper half of his body falls off, while the lower half crumples. Even after being split clean in half, Olba's body continues trying to regenerate, but it's already gone past its limits. It begins to rot, dyeing the ground black. Olba looks up as his opponent looks down. Having crossed swords, Olba now understands the black. The black's sword is an honest sword, a commoner's sword, a sword attained from effort filled with blood and sweat. He had thought him a mere brat who did not know anything. But that is wrong. He already knows everything, but regardless had made a conscious choice to fight, knowing full well the odds. Powerless. Olba's life was powerless from start to finish. What he tried to achieve, what he could not achieve. Lee. A. Olba reaches for a jewel-studded short sword, then closes his eyes. The last thing that comes up in his fading consciousness is the smile of the beloved daughter that he had lost. So that's basically how we wiped out that bandit group and saved Naysan. When we found Naysan, she was unconscious, so we freed her restraints and then just left her there. The very next day, she showed up back at the house, in high spirits. That person is excessively resilient, so her hand injury had already mainly healed up after just one night. After that was a whole week of recovery or investigation or whatnot before she finally left for the royal capital. And for some reason, during that 1 week she kept fussing over me. It was quite annoying. Alpha and the others were apparently busy with investigating the bandit gang and cleaning up the leftovers. Alright, sorry, they're not bandits, but the order. Well, bandits by any other name are still bandits in the end. But damn, that red-eyed Austin sure had talent. It was partly his credit that I was able to use a cool-sounding line like "then I will dive." It matters not how deep. Too bad he died, otherwise I would have hired him as a supporting actor. And my power in the shadows play and ad-libbing was a must-see. It's a pity that there was no audience, but I only have to bear with it for 2 more years. 2 years later, I will also be going to the royal capital. It's the royal capital, that capital. One of few great metropoli of this world, the only city in this country with a population higher than 1 million. I can bet that there would be both protagonist-like characters and last boss-like characters there. There would be an abundance of incidents, conspiracies, and intricacies that could never occur in a backwater place like here. And thus opportunities for me to make an appearance as a power in the shadows. In that light, then the current me who is making do by only taking out mere bandits is but a frog in a well. My story so far was only the prologue. As I continued to build up my strength in preparation for 2 years later, Alpha and the 6 others requested to meet with me together. Apparently they want to report on their investigation into the order and the results of their research into the curse. Lately they've all gotten quite busy, so it's rare to see all 7 gathered together at the same time. There's no actual point to investigating and researching, so you guys should keep it to a moderate level, alright? Is what I'm thinking as I listen to their reports. To sum it all up, all of the heroes who fought Diabolos were female. That's why the curse of Diabolos only manifests in females. What a novel idea! But unfortunately, the general consensus is that they were all male. Oh, because Shadow Garden only has girls, except for me, so they're making that their pretext? Next, the largest percentage of those who manifest the curse are elves, then beast people, and finally humans. This is related to the lifespans of the races. For example, humans have the shortest lifespans, so the blood of the heroes flows the thinnest in them, which makes it hard for the curse to manifest. Elves, in contrast, have the longest lifespans, so it is the opposite for them. Then the beast people are in the middle of the spectrum. Speaking of which, I am the only human in Shadow Garden, and I didn't even have demon possession. As for the 7 of them, 2 are beast people, and the remaining 5 are elves. All of them previously had demon possession. Wow, you guys, good job thinking up a setting for even something like this. Alpha and the girls also reported a few other things to me, but it basically just went in one ear and out the other. And with that, they moved on to reporting about the Order. Supposedly the Order is an enormous organization that has grown roots all over the entire world. Nice, I like that you girls think large scale. The Order calls those suffering from demon possession, or the curse, you can call it what you want, as matches, and prioritizes the capture and execution of such people. It became that in order to mount a resistance against the Order, members of Shadow Garden also have to scatter across the world, leaving only one person to stay with me on a rotation basis. The rest will focus on reaching out to and sheltering those suffering from demon possession and also continue digging into the Order or run interference where opportunities arise. Hearing that, I got it. They have realized that the Order of Diabolos does not actually exist. Which is why they are trying to say that they can't play along with this farce any longer, that they want to be set free. That's what scatter across the world means, right? But because I really did cure them of demon possession, so to repay that debt they'll take turns to accompany me, and for me to be content with that much. That is the message between the lines that they are hoping for me to read. I found myself feeling a little sad. Even in my previous life, everybody adored heroes when they were children. And I adored powers in shadows in the same way. But eventually, everybody grew up, and before I knew it, they'd all forgotten about their heroes and left me all alone. These girls have also grown up, that's all there is to that. Despite feeling a bit sentimental about it, I quickly agreed to let them go. In the first place, I didn't even plan to gather so many of them. It would be enough with just me and one assistant. I saw off the girls who all cheered up at the parting, then swore to myself that I'll definitely become a power in the shadows, even if I become the only person left in the entire world. Chapter 9. The Frolicking of Those Who Know Nothing of the World of Shadows. I have finally become 15 years old, and have matriculated into the Midgar Magic Swordsman Academy. It is known as one of the top leading magic swordsman academies in the continent, gathering talents from both inside and outside of our country. In the 2 months that I've been here, I have purposely maintained my grade somewhere slightly below average, the most optimum position for a mob character. And in the meantime, I have been keeping an eye out for protagonist-like characters. Among the few that I have my eyes on, Princess Alexia Midgar. The most promising one is her. Even a chimpanzee would be able to figure her for a big potato just from hearing the title Princess Midgar. Incidentally, above her is someone even bigger and more famous called Princess Iris Midgar, but unfortunately she has already graduated from the academy. And it is this Princess Alexia that I am going to have participate in a super important mob event. To be more specific, it is a penalty game. Yep, you guessed it. It's that one where the losers has to confess to a girl. Thus, I am now on the school roof, standing a certain distance away from Princess Alexia and facing off against her. She has shoulder-length silvery white hair, and her red eyes are enchantingly. Anyways, she has pretty eyes too, and her brows are, screw this, I give up. In short, she is really beautiful in the well-featured cool beauty kind. Unfortunately, thanks to Alpha and the others, I've gotten used to seeing pretty faces. I think it would be better if you let some of that tension out of your face, you know? Showing a bit more emotion would make you look a bit more human. Well, let's set that aside for now. Naturally, I am not the first to attempt this foolhardy challenge. After entering the school for 2 months, already more than 100 retards have approached her and gotten shot down with the same emotionless phrase. Not interested. It's not like I don't understand. She's probably already got a political marriage lined up for after graduation, and she simply isn't interested in this kind of child's play. But the large majority of the nobles that try to confess to her should also be in the same boat. After graduation, it'll be straight off to arranged marriages for most of them. That's why they are hoping to have a love affair or two while still in the academy. Well, whatever their motivations, in the end it is all but the mere frolicking of those who know nothing of the world of shadows. However, as a mob character, I am also fated to take part in this frolicking. Forced through a punishment game to confess to the school idol and get turned down in the harshest and most heart-crushing manner, it is truly a mob-like event, is it not? By completing this event in the most mob-like method possible, I would get one step closer to the most ideal image of a mob character inside my head. And that, in turn, would bring me that much further down the path towards becoming a power in the shadows. For the sake of this moment today, I stayed up all night deep in thought. What can I do? How can I confess to make this into the most mob-like confession ever? Word choice is of course important, but there is also articulation, pitch change, and vibrato, to list only a few. After the whole night of research, I have attained the ultimate mob-like confession, and am now standing at the decisive battle. Battle. Exactly. For a mob character, this is nothing short of a great battle. Power in shadows have power in shadows battles to fight, while mob characters have mob battles to fight. And thus I, at this moment, as a mob character, must give it my very best. With resolve in my chest, forward I face. Princess Alexia. You might be standing there looking composed and all, but if I really wanted to cut you down, your head would leave your body before you even know what happened. In the end, that is your limit as a person. Therefore, watch closely. This is the world's most mob-like confession. P. Princess Alexia. I reveal the stutter attack card, then display my nervousness through the inarticulation of princess, followed by a pitch change when saying her name. I like you. My eyes leap away from Princess Alexia to swim all over the ground, while my whole body trembles at a barely perceptible degree. Please go out with me. My word choice is kept to the basics, with no fancy additions, while my pronunciation, pitch, and articulation are flying off to God knows where. Then I ended it all with a rising inflection to exhibit my lack of confidence. It was perfect. Now this was the perfect mobness that I have been aiming for. Satisfaction. I feel pure satisfaction. Very well. Please take care of me. NN? Feeling satisfied, I was preparing to go back when I heard an auditory hallucination. What did you just say? Please take care of me. Ah, okay. Something doesn't seem right here. For starters, let's go back together after school. Still not fully wrapping my head around this development, I meet up with Princess Alexia after school, we walk back to the dorms together, and part smilingly with a promise to see each other again tomorrow. Then I go back to my own room, dive into my bed, bury my face in my pillow, then scream. How the fuck did I enter the macroot of a goddamn love comedy? Chapter 10. Apparently he discovered her secret and is blackmailing her. Isn't it strange? That's strange alright. That's so strange. Lunchtime the next day, I am having lunch with my mob friends while going over how yesterday went down. Consequently, All three of us are of the same opinion, that it was strange. To be honest, you simply don't have the specs to go out with Princess Alexia. Even I would be barely at the acceptable level, you know? So says Hyoro. He is the second son of the Barangali family. His appearance is tall and thin, and it might seem like he is kind of fashionable and puts some effort into his appearance, but he has terrible sense. From afar, he could perhaps somehow pass off as handsome. Or not, scratch that last part, I can't see it at all. Of course, this Hyoro does not have the specs to go out with Princess Alexia. Why? Because he is someone that I've acknowledged as a mob friend. If even Sidkun could pull it off, then even I could have succeeded. Tilda, I should have done the confession myself. And this is Jaga. Second son of the Baranimo family. His appearance is small and bony, like that extra guy in every baseball club. He is outstandingly talented in that even when looking from afar, no matter the angle, he wouldn't even have the atmosphere of being a handsome guy. Naturally, he is also a mere mob character who would never be a good match with Princess Alexia after even 1,000 years. Oh, and by the way, my name is Sid. Sid Kaganu. When I go by this name, I am your average, everyday mob character. Seriously, this is not as good as it sounds. It freaks me out that there is probably some deeper circumstances here, and in the first place the worlds we live in are too far apart. You got that right. After all, your caliber is even less than mine. I bet the longest this would last would be a week. I say 3 days max. Take a look around. At Jaga's words, Hyoro and I glance around. Almost everybody in the cafeteria are looking my way and whispering furiously to their respective companions. Look, he's the one. No way. His looks are so average. Is there some misunderstanding here? Damn, then even I could have. Etc., etc. I heard that he discovered a secret of hers and is blackmailing her. From that guy called Hyoro. Are you serious? I'm gonna kill that bastard. Act like it was an accident. How could we call ourselves men if we don't stand up here? Etc., etc. I have good ears, so I can pick up pretty much all of it. But for starters, I glare at Hyoro. Inan, what's the matter? Nothing. Such is the friendship between mob characters. But seriously, what am I to do? It would be super suspicious if I turn around and dump her the very next day after confessing. In the first place, it is not mob-like to break up with a princess. But then again, I was forced out of being mob-like the moment she said yes. Why not just go along with it? Who knows, maybe you can even get a good memory or two out of it. So says Hyoro with a smirk. I agree. Even if it was a mistake, you are currently officially going out with a princess. It would be such a waste to chicken out due to a few minor obstacles. I can't actually do that, now can I? The longer this state of affairs lasts, the farther that rumors about me would spread, and the further I would be from a mediocre mob-like life. But now that things have developed to this level, we absolutely cannot let slip that it was just a penalty game. So says Jaga. Agreed. The moment it becomes leaked, things will descend into absolute chaos. So I'm begging you guys, alright? Especially you, Hyoro. Me? PFFT, no one would be able to make me talk. Of course, I would also never tell. I'm seriously begging you guys, alright? I sigh, then reach for my 980 zenny daily set meal for dirt poor nobles. Let's eat quickly then leave this extremely uncomfortable cafeteria. But I was too late. A 100,000 zenny daily set meal for filthy rich nobles is set down right across from my seat. By a maid, with oh so graceful skill. Then. This seat, is it free? Princess Alexia enters the scene. Fuck, I knew it. That's why I wanted to eat quickly. Oh, of course. If it pleases you, please. I can almost see Hyouro and Jaga visibly shrinking into themselves. And these are the people who were bragging mere moments ago that even they could have gone out with her. As expected of the mob friends that my mob character had fully acknowledged as true mobs. Now I just want to cry, for various reasons. Sit if you want. Alexia was waiting for my answer, so I answered. Well then. And with that, she sits down. Nice weather, isn't it? For starters, I try to fill the gap by bringing up the weather. I suppose. Thus continued our bland and banal conversation. With elegant motions, she puts her hands to her extravagant lunch. As expected of a princess, she has wonderful manners. Low-ranking nobles are pretty much just commoners slapped with a title. That super expensive meal sure is a lot. It is, isn't it? I always end up unable to finish it all. What a waste. To be honest, I would rather choose a lower rank course, but when I do, then everyone else finds it hard to order this. Okay. If you can't eat it all, then may I grab some? I don't mind, but if you're worried about the manners and all that, don't be. This is the lower nobles seating area, after all. I plunder the meat main dish from the bewildered looking Alexia and stuff my cheeks with it before she can utter a complaint. Yep, delish. I'll help myself to the fish too, then. Wait, hey. Damn, I feel lucky. Thanks to you, my stomach is now in seventh heaven. In sharp contrast to yesterday, my attitude towards Alexia is now Superman. The reason? It's because I'm currently in the middle of carrying out the make her dump me strategy. Sighs. Oh well. Thanks for the food. See ya. Wait a second. I was hoping to just eat whatever I could and then leave like it's nobody's business, but no dice. Grudgingly, I sit back down. Your practical studies after lunch is Royal Capital Bush End style, is it not? Yay, sure. This school's curriculum is separated into theoretical studies before lunch and practical studies after lunch. Theoretical studies are separated by years, but practical years are all elective based and students from all years are mixed together. The point is to pick the fighting style that fits you best from among all the ones that they offer. I also take Royal Capital Bush End style, so how about let's go together? That's not happening. I mean, you're in Group 1, and I'm in Group 9. Bush End style is a pretty popular course. With 50 students in a group, there are a total of 9 groups, with Group 1 being the most proficient and Group 9 being the worst. Having joined the academy only 2 months ago, I am still in Group 9. My plan is to eventually settle down in Group 5, by the way. With my recommendation, a spot was freed up in Group 1, so don't worry about it. Isn't that, like, abuse of power or something? Do you want me to come to Group 9, then? Oh God, please don't, you destroy my standing. These are the only options available. Choose one. Seriously? It is in order, by my authority as princess. Group 1, here I come. And so ended my lunch. Hyouro and Jaga remained as ornamental decorations to the very end. Hi. This is Novel Admire. Thanks for the visit. Come back again for more novels.